Good evening and welcome to the Mancunian Way. It is what a way to kick it all off with me on mute. Good evening. First of all, I do apologise for the tardiness. I had to move it a little bit because I've just come back from the hospital. So hope we are all good. Evening, Rich, Reg.
Evening.
Away. Have we got rid
Reg.
of the away?
Reg.
Have we got rid of the away?
I got called Reg with a coffee yesterday, so I've decided it's my new name.
Oh. Anyway, good evening. How are you, Rich? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
First, commiserate absolutely and utterly wank. Oh, that was like the best thing ever. That I'm just saying that in it. Mine's going to take the mick out of Rich being a Wales fan, and my internet collapsed.
Yeah, it was great. I didn't hear anything you said.
Oh, dearie me. Anyway, Rich, have you got over it yet? Are you over it now?
I'm absolutely over it.
Is it more embarrassing that Australia's got further?
No, not really.
I wasn't going to do this tonight, but I've got to cheer myself up.
But it's okay, Martin. You know, I've quite enjoyed being, watching Wales in the World Cup was like being a City fan used to be. So I quite enjoyed it.
Ooh. And
it's like,
Rich, listen, you've got two dogs in the hunt at the minute.
Sorry?
You've got two dogs in the hunt at the minute. You've got Australia out there doing it as well.
It would be funny if they knock Messi out, I have to say, but I don't think there's much hope of that.
Yeah, no, in all fairness, we're not going to touch too much on the World Cup. The only thing I'll say is Belgium are out.
Yep.
So what does that mean, Rich?
It means that Kevin and Ilkay are coming home quite early and getting a couple of weeks
and Germany are out as well. So Ilkay Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne will be playing against Liverpool on the 22nd of December now.
Probably.
Unlucky lads.
Probably. I don't think Kevin looked particularly like he wanted to be there most of the time.
I don't think he did. I don't think he did. Anyway, yeah, so great news for Manchester City. Not so much for the Red Devils of Belgium. Maybe it's just this nickname of the Red Devils. I don't know. Anyway, good evening to everyone in the chat. There's loads of people in. Thank you all, like I said, for your lovely comments. I'm not going to read everyone out because some of them are just saying they're off to get a brew. Everything kind of went okay at the hospital. Everyone seems to be at hospitals tonight. I don't know what is going on. Maybe it's the hospital evening. Hello, Alec Johnson. How are you? Super City's in. Good evening, mate. Blue Art is in as well. Blue Jay. He's got his Blue Jay hat on. Here we go. Yeah, I did just pull the wires off. Of course I did. Yeah, no worry, Patrick. I hope everything goes well, mate, at the hospital. I'm just seeing where it is. Is there an event at the hospital? I don't know. Everyone's popping in at the hospital at the moment. It used to be a party on or something. I don't know. Yeah, and of course, Maris will be playing as well. Right. Okie dokie then. So tonight, we've got two topics only tonight. So it probably won't be as long as normal on a Thursday night. But the first one, the reason I came up with this is because I'm sick of hearing this rhetoric that comes out of everyone's mouth that I'm not Manchester City, that we are this. Before the takeover, I'm echoing somewhere, I don't know where. Before the takeover, Manchester City was some ickle teeny little football team that had no history, no nothing. Now listen, this is not a stream of going all the way back to 1903, 1904. We're not doing that with the 1 million people out in the streets. We're not doing that. I want to talk about just before the takeover and this thing of Manchester City never spent money. We didn't buy big players. and we were this nothing little football team. It's time to put some of this whole thing to bed. And if anyone who's watching who is not a Manchester City fan, I implore you, I beg you to listen to this. This is not a banter dig stream. This is an educational stream for you, a little bit. If you've noticed, Manchester City fans don't go into Twitter spaces a lot. We don't go into all these big things because we're sick of defending ourselves and being called liars and being called everything that we're wrong. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a few little facts about Manchester City. And then also tonight, we're going to talk about midfielders and who Manchester City may be targeting summertime, probably, unless Rich may think we might have a little pop in January, where we think the midfield may go, because there's been a lot of rumours, obviously, about Hey Jude, but also we've now got Enzo Fernandez, and there's the guy at Munich. There's all sorts of players, and we just want to have a look. Because personally, from my point of view, I don't think we'll sign one midfielder in the summer. I think we'll sign two, if you want me to be perfectly and straight honest. But we'll get into that. So, Rich, why is everyone, first question in, why has everyone got this rhetoric that was some little tin pot club that had no existence before 2008? Where's this all come from? And I know you're going to say jealousy, but it has, before you say it, Rich, I'm sorry, before we say the jealousy road, because I know what someone's thinking, no, there are some fans who genuinely believe that we were nothing beforehand. So I'm trying to figure out where it's come from.
I think there's a pretty easy answer there, Martin, and it's ignorance. You know, if you don't know about the history of football and you don't know about the history of other clubs, then that's ignorance. You just don't really know the game. You think the game is just a contemporary thing, and it's lack of knowledge. And with some other people, it's just they want to, you know, there's every football fan needs something to wind other fans up about, and they try and find something that they know will upset those other fans, and they'll use it. So, you know, people use that against us because they know it annoys us. And it's as simple as that. So you've got half the people who just don't know the game, and the other half who deliberately try and wind up.
Yeah, no, possibly. I mean, the funny thing is, I was having a look at it. Now, Manchester City, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to go back into the whole what we've done in 1903. I will go through the honours, but I'm not going to go through everything else that went through. I'll just tell you Manchester City's honours before we even get going. This is before the takeover. We have 25 trophies before the takeover. 25. Now, some people may think that's nothing. That's small beans. But included in that 25 was a European trophy. Was it the European Cup? No. But it was still the European Cup Winners' Cup at the time. And as if I'm right, Rich, didn't we win the League Cup at the same year as well? Was it the League Cup or the FA Cup? It was League Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, we won the FA Cup in '69, the year after winning the
Cup
league.
Winners' Cup 69-70, and we won the League Cup in
76, wasn't it?
69-70 League Cup and Cup Winners' Cup. And at the time, nobody had ever done that. We were the first Manchester club to win the FA Cup.
Yeah. That's actually before, not before, our neighbours on the other side of town, but it's before mighty clubs like Liverpool won in Europe as well. So, it's there weren't that many English clubs who'd won in Europe at that time. Most came after that date.
Of course it did. Absolutely. And I mean, the thing is, we'll start obviously with when we were league champions. We have won in total 2, 4, 6. We won 8 league titles. We're currently going for our 9th. We won our first one in 1936-37. We then won it again in 67-68 up at St. James's Park. If anyone's ever seen it, with a very famous photo of Francis Lee stood up celebrating at St. James's Park. Now, we also then won the FA Cup in 1903-04. That was before Arsenal were even called Arsenal Football Club. Before United had ever won it. We then won it again in 33-34. We won it again in 55-56. And we won it again in 68-69. So we won 4 FA Cups way before the takeover. We then went on to about League Cups. We then won the League Cup again, 69-70, like we said, with a double with a Cup. We won it in 75-76. And then, obviously, we won Charity Shields, or Community Shields as they are now, but they were Charity Shields, 37-38, 68-69, 72-73. So, Manchester City were winning trophies before the takeover. Now, the other rhetoric that's come out, Rich, is that we bought no players. We had no big names. Now, I'm just checking this. I don't know if I've got to. Yeah, no worries. Now, I always go back to 2003 when Manchester City got promoted back to the Premier League, our final year at Main Road. Manchester City went on a massive splurge. If anyone remembers, we bought a striker that was, yes, a little bit temperamental. He was a little bit, you're smiling. He was a little bit dubious on his attitude at times. But Manchester City still forked out 13.5 million quid on one Lesulk and Nicholas Anelka. And we are not talking Nicholas Anelka, who was past it, 32 years old, not in his prime of the days. We're talking a good Nicholas Anelka now.
But that's, that you go back further than that. I mean, when we signed Keith Curle and Terry Phelan, they were, amongst the most expensive centre-backs and full-backs the game had ever seen. We broke records with Steve Daly. We signed Trevor Francis at the time as one of the top probably 10 or 20 signings in history in terms of value. So, I think, and even if you go back to the 70s, we went and signed players who then were superstars like Rodney Marsh. So I think the reality is that we actually shed loads of money for a very long time before that. I think we wasted absolutely tons of money, but we certainly were never guilty of not spending. And we were never guilty of not having high profile players. We did. It's just they didn't always produce the results that we wanted.
Well, we bought Peter Schmeichel. We bought David Samel. We bought Robbie Fowler.
David Samel. Do you mean David Samel?
David Samel. All right.
David
I didn't know we were going proper all French there, mate.
Well,
David Seaman. Yes, he was at the end of his career. Michael Tarnat. Robbie Fowler, which I know people are going to say, well, he was at the end of his career. I sort of get that a little bit. But we still did. Like I said, we also had Sylvain Distin, who was again in his prime of his. I think he'd gone from Newcastle, wasn't it, Rich?
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
or was it PSG? PSG, Newcastle. I think he was on loan at Newcastle, then went to PSG.
Yeah,
I think he bought him off PSG.
I think PSG was his owner club, but I thought he played for Newcastle before he came to us. But because didn't we nip in? I think
it was on loan.
Yeah, and they weren't very happy.
No, they weren't. We were spending 5-6 million in Division 1 on the likes of John Macken.
We were spending 4 million on the likes of Lee Bradbury.
Yeah, people are going to say, "Well, why are you coming out with all this crap?" And what I'm trying to do here is for the people who are listening, not people in the chat, because these people in the chat know this. For non-Manchester City fans, is learn your history, do your research. We were breaking transfer records more than most Premier League clubs at the time. Manchester City were not this equal little club that just appeared. Sheikh Mansour bought Manchester City for a few reasons. One was the stadium, it was the Commonwealth Stadium, because it was it was in a, how do I put it, Rich? There was a 999-year lease. I think there still is, isn't there, at the moment?
Yeah, I think it might be. I thought it's 250, but it doesn't make any difference. You know,
it might be 250. Yeah. I might have that wrong, but there's a massive lease on it anyway. There's also, I'm coming to George Weah, don't you worry, Blue Hat. But thank you for the reminder. I mean, do we mention George Weah because he was only here for a cup of tea?
And he was retired. He was big and retired, and he wasn't George Weah. I saw George Weah.
I can't mention Steve McPointman. Steve McManaman just stood there pointing at everything. He wasn't in his prime.
Yeah. But I think, you know, you can go through stuff. The reality is there were clubs who spent more, like United, Arsenal, Liverpool, and that, you know, and Blackburn and Chelsea, but that went along with their success. But certainly, you know, for a outside the Premier League, you know, we were spending ridiculous amounts of money, and we did spend on a lot of, you know, even going to that late 70s, early 80s, John Bond re-spend and everything, and him trying to, you know, Malcolm Allison coming back a second time. We signed a lot of players. I mean, you know, Trevor Francis, Kevin Reeves, you know, players who were probably, you know, by today's standards, 60, 70 million pound players, which is quite laughable when you think about, you know, particularly what some of them did for City. You know, at the time, you know, Steve Daly was the equivalent of a Jack Grealish size transfer compared to our turnover, which is quite staggering. But thankfully, the main difference today is that we spend a bit more, but we spend better, because the biggest thing of the lot is actually getting the staff, the manager, the coaching staff, and you know, all those things are, you know, are what's different today. I think the money's always been there, obviously not at the level of today, but it's the way you spend, the quality you spend, etc.
You need to go now.
No.
You're all right, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, Rich is expecting an electrician at some point, so he might nip off, come back. I'm just waiting for the gimme to let me know. Can I just make it? The other part I'm going to add is this no fans theory. I've been doing some research today. When Manchester City were relegated to Division 2, which is now League 1, our opening game against Blackpool, against in the League 1, we have players. Starting lineup was Nicky Weaver, Edgil, Horlock, Shadadze or Peepo, for people who don't know what his nickname was, Gerard Vikings, Tony Bourne, Gary Mason, Jamie Pollock, Sean Goat, Paul Dickoff, Lee Bradbury. Substitutes were Jim Whitley, Danny Allsop, and Nick Fenton. There was only 3 substitutes at that time. Now, the reason why I'm telling you that is manager was Joe Royle. Anyone who wants to know why I'm mentioning this, our attendance on that day, which was a scorching red hot day for Manchester, by the way, and we won 3-0. We had 32,134 fans in that stadium. 32,134. Now, at the same time, in the Premiership, listen to this. Southampton, average 15,000. Wimbledon, 18,000. Charlton, 19,000. Leicester, 20,000. Coventry, just under 21. Notts Forest, 24. West Ham United, 25,500. Blackburn Rovers, 25,700. Sheffield Wednesday, 26,700. Derby County, 29,100. Tottenham were only just over 34,000. So we had a higher attendance in League 1 than 10 Premier League clubs in the same season. In League 1. So when anyone says Manchester City have no fans, please, again, do your research.
But you know, the problem is, Martin, in the world we live in today, facts don't matter anymore. So you can tell someone, oh yeah, we had the the record crowd in the FA Cup of 89,000. You can tell them, you can tell them what you like, but ultimately, it will just get bounced back at you with an alternative fact, because that's the world we live in today. So I think sometimes City fans just need to ignore some of the nonsense and just laugh at people, and just laugh at them being thick or not knowing what they're talking about.
I'm totally
rather than get too into.
When it's banter, I can take it, but do you know what it is, Rich? It's when do you know that old thing? Do you know when you say a story so many times? You know when you read a story like 25, 30 times?
Yeah.
And if you notice, the story gets changed ever so slightly every time you hear it.
Yeah.
And then by the time you hit the 30th person, the story's completely different. It's no longer even anywhere near the same story it was at number one. This is now what's happened to Manchester City. The narrative, what has happened is fiction has become reality in everyone's mind. So what's happening is, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because these youngsters who are growing up now of 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, even 18 years old are sat listening to a rhetoric going out in their heads going, Manchester City had no fans. They had no players. They were just some small little team that just appeared. They were FC Main Road. So that's where I get bothered, Rich, is our proud club is being dragged through the damn mud by Chinese whispers on crack.
But do you not think the more that City fans let that wind them up and the more they protest, the more it gets doubled down on? Because, people are doing this to try and annoy City fans in a way, and, to try and put City down, and actually, reacting to it is almost validating it in a way. Whereas if you just like, my care factor is zero about what some, teenage United fan and in Essex thinks about City being small. I mean, I was there in Division 2 when we were getting massive crowds. I was there watching Trevor Francis when he was the most, prized player, in European football. That's the reality. We were there watching, 50,000 or whatever it was go to Wembley in a Division 2 playoff final. I mean, and to be honest with you, some of those things, like the money we spent, it's more a source of embarrassment that we came up with some of the signings we did in the 80s, 90s, and into the early noughties. Criminal wastes of money. I mean, hilarious. We were a comedy club in some ways in terms of players we bought. So I don't know. People get excited about it. I tend not to get too wound up by other fans doing it, because I just think, well,
you know what it is, Rich? It's not so much Twitter either. Some of it's Twitter, I won't lie. But the problem is, I listen to other things like on Sky TV. And I saw the other day, a couple of weeks ago, was it Stephen went on it? And yes, there was people who said what they said, and I'm not getting into that. But the point is, and then I listened to another City fan who does a YouTube channel, and he said, this is why City fans don't go on any of these shows with Sky or with anybody else, is because of this reason. The whole history of Manchester City's changed. Because again, a story has been told as a tale and has now changed. And now, I mean, I will be honest, it was something Rob did mention last year, which was very prominent and was spot on. Do I think the new ownership did enough at the beginning to prevent all this? No, I don't think they did. I won't lie with that. If I've got any gripe with the ownership, and I don't have many, trust me, I don't.
Yeah.
Because these are the best owners in world football, is that they've done it ass backwards. So like we've talked about before with the Aguero company and silver statues, and with the talking about everything that's now.
But I think you're forgetting in a way, Martin, that actually, if you've got owners who took over the club, in 2008, then it suits them in a way that City have this post 2008 reputation, because it makes it seem like they are responsible for everything City have ever done and everything great. So in some ways, whilst old fans like us, may think, why have we got a statue of David Silva before there's one of Bert Troutman, or why isn't there something for Joe Mercer? Will there be one for Pep before there's one for Joe Mercer, etc.?
Yeah.
We're thinking that, but for the owners, I mean, in a way, they weren't involved with City before. So I think there is an element where, they are almost deliberately helping play up that modern history of City compared to the old history, because that suits the story that they are, the saviour of the club, that they've changed everything, that, they've taken a club who was, X and it's now become Y. So I think you have to accept there's an element of that from the owners, probably quite deliberately, and understandably so.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, singing the blues is spot on. I don't think Gary helped out. I don't think Gary Cook helped them there. Gary Cook was very good at
hype.
Yeah, was it Nike was part of? Was it Nike was the chief executive or something?
Yeah,
was it Nike?
One of the brands.
Yeah, it was Nike. It was something Nike, Adidas. It was something like that anyway.
It was Nike.
And he came out and he was very much, we're going to buy. Do you all remember the day we got taken over in 2008? There was the lad over in Abu Dhabi who talked about, he went on to become an owner of Portsmouth for about a cup of coffee and a sandwich before he got kicked out because they didn't add up in the fit and proper test. And he went on the TV saying City were going to buy Ronaldo and John Terry and everyone and Kaka and all these players. And if you remember, it was his picture who was on that fake £50 note, if you remember. Because nobody knew who Sheikh Mansour was at the time. No one knew who Khaldoon Mubarak was. And it was all basically, I can't remember the guy's name. If anyone can, I don't know if you can remember him. He was the guy who took over Portsmouth for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it didn't begin with F. I can't remember
it, but he was like, and City came out and went, he's got nothing to do with Manchester City. Please ignore that. He's got nothing to do with us. And I think Gary Cook went a bit like that. Talking about, I'm going to get Kaka. Milan bottled it. No, every deal was done. Every deal was done in the public eye. It's like Gary Cook had his own Sky camera following him around.
Yeah, no, that Kaka couple of days with Kaka, when he was like almost barricaded in his house by Italian and English media, and thank God, because his career was pretty much, he ended up going to Madrid and he did nothing for them for the injuries and stuff he got. So it was almost like, his career was over after he didn't sign for City. Unrelated to the fact he didn't sign for City, but, it was only months later he got injuries. He never made it really at Real Madrid and kind of drifted out from being the best footballer in the world to, almost disappearing.
Yeah, please go and show Vader some love. Vader was going to join us, but he's a very, very busy man at the moment, and hopefully we'll get a show with it. But he'll be back soon. Go give Vader Games TV a lot of love. Singing the Blues said, I had his part and stuff, but it was embarrassing. Listen, Khaldoon is refreshing. Yeah, exactly. They're making their history trying to be fair to them. No, they aren't. Listen, Blue out and Singing the Blues, I agree with you. I think they've realised now that they have probably made a couple of errors in that sense. Because I think a lot of fans told them when the statues went up, there should be a Lee, Bell and Summerby statues long before any of these. And that's coming now, which is brilliant. I mean, there was something Rob mentioned last year about it'd have been lovely to have them bricks with names on of our legends or whatever. There should have been something done. But listen, it's by the by, it's the past, it's done. But what we've got to remember is, as Manchester City fans, is yes, you can ignore the idiots on Twitter. You can ignore but don't ever let anyone tell you Manchester City was this little Italy club that just turned up one day, won the lottery. I mean, that's your thing. Manchester City fans, none of us have ever denied that we didn't win the lottery. We know we did. We know we did. But if you look at every football club, it runs in cycles. United are going through their bad time. United had a bad time long beforehand when they got relegated by Dennis Law. But what I get annoyed at, Rich, is you hear greats of football like Don Revie at Leeds, but he's only remembered as a Leeds United legend. Dennis Law's only really remembered as a United legend. Matt Busby's only really remembered as a United legend. And you hear the rhetoric of, and this is also by grown adults who work for some of these TV companies of, City have no legends. Sean Goat is your legend. They have no idea that Don Revie, Matt Busby, Frank Swift, everything else was all Manchester City players. They had no idea.
You go back to Meredith and Woosnam and
Billy
some of the other, some legends of the game. I think that's inevitable. I think, unfortunately, the biggest story in Matt Busby's life ended up being the Busby Babes and stuff. So the fact he'd played so many games for us in Captain City did get forgotten. And I think you'll in years to come you'll have someone like Pep who'll be almost forgotten about as a footballer, who will be remembered as Barcelona and City. People probably won't even remember he was ever at Bayern Munich. They probably won't remember him playing. And I think that's just what happens. The thing that most achieves, a lot of players who played for different clubs and you think they're only associated with one club.
Yeah, listen, our owners are brilliant, and they are. Blue Art, they are singing the blues, are spot on. They are putting the errors right. I admit that. They are. I totally admit that. But what I won't have is these idiots, pundits. Andy Hinchcliffe played for Manchester City. You won't believe it. Danny Mills played for Manchester City. Well, no, that's a bad example. He was crap. Give me someone else, Rich. Someone else who hates City. Lee Dixon. Lee Dixon's a Manchester City fan. Won't believe it.
Yeah. But half the time, honestly, half the time they don't hate City. Half the time they're just doing what they're paid to do. And most of the media that's driving this is driving it as clickbait. Talk Sport want to say everything to annoy everyone because they want people phoning up annoyed. So they'll say things that will annoy City fans and United fans, Liverpool fans, whoever it is, because people phone up when they're annoyed and they want to argue and people listen to it. So again, some of those players, I don't know whether they hate City or they don't hate City. There's probably a few who do because they feel they were wronged or something by the club, but some of the others are just doing it because that's what gets them the best, gets them the furthest in their media career, and that's what matters. So
yeah,
again,
but
it's just reality.
Yeah, but Rich, it shouldn't be the reality though. Like you used to say, when you don't, I admit there's bias because the people in the media played for us. Like I just said, Yusuf, there are people who played for Manchester City. You would never have thought it. Now, the thing is, Liverpool and United were not this amazing football team for 100 years. But what's happened is, since the inception of the Premier League in 1992, Liverpool and United have been the, what's the word, Rich? The staples.
To be fair, I'm not sure you can call Liverpool a staple of the Premier League when they've won it. No,
but what I mean is, Rich, is Liverpool and United have always been the Premier League nice boys. They've always been the boys to talk about, haven't they?
Yeah,
we're the leaders of it.
Yeah, but I think the Premier League for Liverpool is a hangover from the Liverpool team before the Premier League, because Liverpool were the dominant side in the 70s and the 80s for 20 years before the Premier League. And then really, if you then say there was a bit of a, in the, I guess in the 90s, there was a bit of a shift to United in the early 90s, a shift to United. And then United were the dominant team till, you could argue 2011, probably 2010, 2011. So they had the most fans because they'd had 20 years of dominance each. And, that's the reality. If you went back to the, 50s, you'd have had a lot more Spurs fans or fans of, Wolves or other teams. It just, it's just changed over time. And I think they're the darlings because the reality is the pundits on telly. I think they were in 1951 or 1961 or something.
You've got a love for Tottenham at the minute. You've got this love for Tottenham going on.
No, but as someone pointed out, Queen Victoria being Queen was closer to Tottenham last winning the league than Tottenham last winning the league is till to today. But it did happen, when my great-great-grandfather was alive. But I think you've got that. Those things change. And so when you're going and getting your pundits, you're getting the highest profile players, and that has been United and Liverpool. What I will say, and Arsenal, what I will say is probably Chelsea have been a bit underrepresented in the media compared to Arsenal, probably overrepresented relatively, and United and Liverpool dominate. But Chelsea was new money, like City.
Rich, do you know what I got told though? I got told Chelsea were bigger than City because Chelsea were winning trophies and competing in Europe and finishing. The exact wording was they weren't finishing bottom when they got taken over. Manchester City were not finishing bottom, by the way. In the 2 seasons previous, before we got taken over, we finished 9th and 10th. 9th and 10th. In the season we got taken over, or just about, because we only bought Robinho, we went to the quarterfinals of the UEFA Cup against Hamburg. We were already in Europe. Fair enough, by the Fair Play League, but we got there. We played Hamburg, and we got to a quarterfinal in a rip-roaring Etihad, and we got beat. But here's the kicker of this. Chelsea Football Club, if you go back to 1989, 1989, 88, 1990, 1991, do you know what crowds they were pulling in, Rich?
They had some shocking crowds.
10,000. I saw a picture the other day at St. James's Park in 1991, 1992. I get told now Newcastle were a bigger club. St. James's Park was falling apart in 1992. Main Road was by far bigger.
Yeah, but I think sometimes, when we start to do this to other clubs, though, aren't we being a bit guilty of just, doing the same as we claim is done to us? I mean, Chelsea were, certainly in the 80s and early 90s have probably disappeared a bit, but they were a big club pre-war. I mean, pre-World War II, Chelsea one of the biggest supported clubs in the country. In a way, they were not that dissimilar to City in that they hadn't won stuff as early in their history as us, but they'd been a big club with a lot of fans going to games, and they just hadn't won much. And in a way, Newcastle's a bit like that. Tottenham's a bit like that. I mean, they're both a bit like us pre-takeover. They really haven't won that much compared to that. And Leeds United, there's a whole series of big clubs.
That's won that much. I'm not just saying about City. The reason I'm saying about City is because yes, we're a Manchester City channel. So yes, I'm trying to state the fact is. But you made a great point there. There are so many great football clubs that have been. So I got told the other day, Arsenal were a little club. Now process that for a minute.
No, I mean, they're a hypocritical club in that they bought their way into the game and then try and pretend they're all. But you know, if you look at there's two things, isn't there? There's clubs that are big in terms of support and crowds and fans and people at the game and influence on their local area. And I think I always thought that City were in that bunch of clubs, you know, bigger than some, not bigger than others, but we're in a bunch of clubs that were big clubs but have been very historically unsuccessful relative to scale. And I'd say Newcastle are in that. I'd say possibly Leeds maybe, you know, bordering into that. Tottenham definitely, you know, for their history and their teams over a century, they've underachieved. They won early. Chelsea far worse than City in that Chelsea had a huge support pre-war, but I don't know if Chelsea won. They won the league, I think, the first time in the 50s, and I think their first FA Cup was kind of Peter Osgood era. I think they were even more extreme than we were. So you had teams like that, and then you had the teams that, you know, some of it was purely because of teams in the past, but you've got those teams like Everton and Aston Villa who and Arsenal became that, you know, Liverpool became that in the 60s, 70s. And, you know, it's fair to say United were a massive underachieving club really until Ferguson. You know, they'd won a bit more than us, but actually neither City or United were remotely up there among the biggest trophy winners and league title winners until United got Ferguson. And in a way, we're sneaking up there now and catching up with the Villas and Evertons with Pep. But I think, but in a way, doesn't it come down to who cares? I mean, trophies that were before, you know, a lot of fans talk about, you know, Liverpool fans will talk about the history and, oh, we've won this and that. And you press them on it, and it all happened before they were born, and they haven't been to Anfield, and, you know, they can't actually remember any of those finals because they didn't watch them. So in a way, that they do become pages in a history book that unless you've got family and friends and things who are telling those stories who were there, it does become a bit like that. And honestly, why do they think that makes them better anyway? Because we don't play for the team. We support the club, but it's not. In a way, what's sad is that so many of the fans and those people in the media think that trophies actually really matter that much. It's not what football's about. Most clubs in all the leagues have never won a major trophy in their life.
I get
and many of them go back 150 years, and many of them, you know, people go week in, week out to the games, and that's what matters.
Yes, but what I will not have, listen, I get what you're saying, but for me, and this is just me as a personal standpoint here, is I just want the correct story about Manchester City to be told. I want the correct story to be told.
Stories are
not a made-up one.
Correct stories aren't told about anything.
But I know that, Rich. This is our job. Rich, how do you learn anything? How do you learn anything?
But we can try and educate. We can talk.
Exactly. We can't just say, toss it off, never mind.
But it's not going to change what someone on TalkSport wants to say, or it's not going to change what, you know, Simon Jordan's going to say, or what someone's going to write in the Sun. You know, if they've got, or, you know, our great friends like Miguel Delaney and things like that, they're gonna do the agenda they want, and they're going to twist. Not necessarily going to tell an outright lie, but they're certainly going to twist history to suit their agenda. And, you know, I think it's best ignored, honestly.
See, that's where we're going to disagree, Rich. I am going to shout our proud history from the damn rooftops to the day I take my last breath. I will scream Manchester City's proud history and its proud future to the day I die. Promise you that.
Yeah.
Because I feel my duty as a fan is I have to do that. Anyway, right, we're going to move on. because we are thinking our aim is to win trophies. No, it's not, because bloody hell, do you think someone became a Plymouth Argyle fan just because they fancy winning trophies, mate? Come on.
That's the problem with, I know a lot of, I've got, plenty of friends who've actually walked away from the Premier League clubs and they're moved for trophies to go and watch non-league or watch lower league football, because actually it's a lot more fun. Football's about watching a game. It's about the excitement of it. It's about the hope. It's about the despair. It's about, it's about the people. It's about the humour. It's about the day out. It's about a hell of a lot. And to be honest with you, football is no more enjoyable today with City winning trophies. In fact, it's probably less enjoyable than it was 25 years ago when we were terrible. So, I think I feel incredibly sorry for anyone who thinks football's about trophies. I really do. And that's not just City fans. 99% of other clubs know they're going into the season. Every year into the season, there's probably 80 clubs who know, well, they know they're not going to win a major honour. Probably half of them think they might win a lower league title or get promoted or whatever, but it's not about trophies. It's just about something to enjoy, to, get excited about, to talk to people about, to feel. Yeah. And
anyway, let's move on, Rich, because I know I've cut him short because Rich just texted me going, "Can we move on?" And I'm like, and then he goes on to his own little rant again. Yeah. Right, midfield shake-up. The reason why I talk about this is obviously there's been a lot of, during the World Cup, there's been a lot of talk about Jude, a lot of talk about other players, talk about Bernardo, talk about Kevin. Apparently Kevin De Bruyne's a bag of shit now and shouldn't be playing football anymore and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I thought you'd laugh at that one, Rich. Yeah, that's now the new one. And anyway, so as we know, Manchester City conducted part one of their rebuild. Sort of this, well, part 1.5 of their rebuild, because it did start the previous year. Well, should have started, but started with Grealish, moved into this year. Then we went into a midfield. Now, we know Ilkay Gundogan is coming to the odds, his end of his career. There are rumours that he may sign a new contract, but we don't know. There are rumours. Have they turned up, Rich?
I'm just listening. The dogs are getting a bit excited. He's already out in the back garden. It's just whether when he's coming in to do the stuff inside.
All right. Okay. So, obviously, Haaland and Spider-Man were signed. And by the way, Alvarez is doing a tremendous job over in the World Cup at the moment. Lovely, lovely goal yesterday. Yeah. It's just a shame he's got a certain Norwegian meat machine in front of him at the moment.
Yeah.
Such a shame. Now, there's a lot of talk, obviously, about Jude Bellingham. But there are now other candidates coming out from this World Cup, especially, again, in the Argentinian side. Certain Enzo Fernandez has now popped back up on the radar. Was in Manchester City sights earlier on last year, but they didn't decide to take a punt on him. They let him go to Benfica. Now, for me, I don't think Manchester City will buy one midfielder in the summer. I think we'll buy two.
Yeah. I think we'll buy one in January.
Ooh. Go on then, Rich. Throw that one out there. Who are we buying in January?
I think that I don't know.
Breaking news on the Mancunian way.
Yeah. I just think we will do. I just have a feeling that the new contract, Pep's very conscious of where there's weaknesses in the team, and I think Pep knows that we are in danger of being a man down. Bernardo's playing too much on the right.
Man down.
Gundogan, Gundogan and De Bruyne. We've all said that we'd never pick Gundogan, De Bruyne, and Rodri as a midfield three, but you look into the second half of the season and it's hard to see how we avoid that being picked quite a few times, because there's not great depth in that area. So unless you really try to bring someone like Foden or Grealish back, but they haven't trained to do that. They haven't played that role. So I think that's
Are we missing a winger?
A problem. Well,
and when I say winger, because everyone's going to say to me about Sterling, is he playing this Gundogan, like I said, to get Bernardo in, so Bernardo's being siphoned out onto the wing?
I think it's partly Mahrez's form, that Mahrez hasn't, been in good form. I think if Mahrez was in really good form, we probably wouldn't be noticing it, and hopefully the extra time off has done him good. But I do think we're a bit like that, and I think we'll probably sign 2 players. I think one of them will be a big name, whether it's a Jude Bellingham or someone like that, and I think the second one will probably be, more in that 35 million, 30 million, Alvarez, young, up and coming kind of player. I don't think we'll sign 2 superstars, but we'll see. And I think will also depend on what we do with, Gundogan. I think De Bruyne's here for a few more years. Bernardo, there's rumours of a new contract. So, and Gundogan has got an option, hasn't he, for another year? So I think we've got to wait and see what happens to those. Because if we keep all 3, then we'll probably only sign 1. But if we lose 1 or 2, we might even have to sign 3 midfielders.
Okay, to me, there's a key in all this. Bernardo Silva, 2 keys. Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva there has to be a definitive end to Bernardo Silva at some point in terms of whether he stays or he goes. I do not want to be going into another postseason talking about whether, if buts and maybes, he's out the door. They do 2 things with Bernardo Silva. They either up his wages, or if Manchester City just are absolutely dead certain that they know he doesn't want to be here, and it's a matter of when and not if, then fine, you sell him this summer.
Yeah.
No more now. No more on, I understand people who say, make him an offer we can't refuse. That means nothing because it's not about the football. If it was about the football, he would have signed.
Yeah. And he could, and the reality is there is no offer that he can't refuse. That's the thing. We could make him our highest paid player and he could still decide.
Yeah.
Honestly, with the amount of money they've got, he's sorted for his next 10 lifetimes on the money he's already earned. So, it's not like...
Well, he's only on 150, and I know that sounds so bad for me to say only 150. Yeah. But what I mean is, I think he might be saying, hang on a minute, Jack Grealish is on 300 grand a week.
I mean, but what I mean is he's been for, 5 seasons. When you take his sponsorships and everything else, he'll have been on at least after tax, probably 6, 7, 8 million a year. And he's got that over many years, signing on fees, possibly more. So he's got houses wherever he wants them. He's got enough money to do whatever he wants pretty much for the rest of his life. So
and why doesn't he just fly his girlfriend to Barcelona?
Because maybe he wants to spend time with her and her not be in another country. I mean,
Pep does it.
Pep may not have the same relationship with it. Pep at the end of the day.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, Rich.
But what I mean is, at the end of the day, Pep's in his mid-50s. He's got adult kids. He's been with his wife, 35 years or something. They're probably... It's a different stage of a relationship than when you're 27 and you're, So I think, I think there's reasons why he may want to go, but I think City will make him an offer. Will probably be close to De Bruyne, and he'll have to make. It'll be a better offer than he'll get from anyone else, and he'll just have to decide. Do I want 150 grand at Barca, or do I want 300 and something at City? Because unless Real Madrid come in, I don't think Barca are gonna with their financial mess, are going to be paying him anything like what City could pay him.
Yeah, I think what it is with Bernardo Silva, I don't think it is the football.
No, it probably isn't.
Because you know what, Rich? There is nowhere else on this planet where he's going to get better football or more trophies at the moment than Manchester City.
Yeah, no, and I'm kind of hoping it's COVID and being locked down and everything else that's driven, his desire to get away, or his worries about staying at sea. I'm hoping it changes because, I do think he's an incredibly important player for us. He's like, I've said it about Kyle Walker, who I think is an incredibly important player to us. You've got players who they're maybe not their De Bruynes and their players Cancelos or whatever that people always mention as City's best players and most high-profile players and everything else. I think fans, we know how important Bernardo is, and him re-signing just gives us so much more, tactical adaptability because of his ability to just do anything. I mean, you could put him in goal, I reckon. He's a bit short, but he just. But he'll do anything.
Making him the tea later.
Yeah, but he goes back and he can be the holding midfielder. He can go onto either wing. Yeah. He can go to help out at fullback. He can, be false nine. He's got the engine and the brains to do pretty much anything, and I think that's absolutely vital. And I think, I hope someone like Bellingham in years to come can do something similar because I think he's got. Bellingham's got a lot of adaptability. He's got a lot of growing to do. He's got a lot of, as a footballer, he's got, experience to get and a lot of training to. And I think what we need if we sign someone like Bellingham is actually, to keep Gundogan on for a year to help bring players in, a young player in so that they're not just thrown in at the deep end and given problems. So,
well, let me throw this question from Vader. So do you think the club takes different priorities if a player wins a World Cup like Alvarez, Silva or Rodri?
What do you mean by different priorities? I'm not quite sure.
Are you talking about contracts? Are you talking about starting places? What do you mean by it? We can just
January
elaborate. Yeah. January, yeah. Shame about Bernardo. He's so much these suits. Listen, at the moment he's going nowhere. We're only going off because we played this in and out, shake it all about for 2 years now, and his agent's done it, and he's done it, and we need to. And every time he gets asked about whether he wants to stay, he bloody won't shoot it down. He said contracts. No, I don't think winning a World Cup will make any difference on a contract.
Yeah, I think the
my point anyway. I don't think it does.
Contracts is all about if someone's running, if it's getting too short or if someone's grossly underpaid. Like obviously Foden, had plenty of contract left. But I suspect that City's number one priority in terms of contracts in the second half of the season, will be Bernardo, and after that it will be Haaland. Trying to get Haaland a different release clause, because if we think that, it's going to be 150 in 3 years, we might think we want it to be more than that.
Well, I think what you can say is if Alvarez wins the World Cup, playing for Argentina and scoring goals like last night, and then comes back and sits his ass on the Manchester City bench, then there's a problem.
Potentially.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Because then Alvarez is well within his rights to go, excuse me, Pep. And that's why I said there's a problem. He's got a 6'4" Norwegian meat machine in front of him.
But he can play with him. I mean, I've been saying all season, I know you don't quite.
Who do you drop, Rich? I keep having this debate. He's not going to drop Grealish.
He could drop Mahrez. Mahrez has played about,
So what do you do? Drop Bernardo?
Sorry?
You drop Bernardo?
No, Bernardo's in midfield.
Well, he's not. Every time he's played, he's on the
No,
right
but
wing.
he should be. That's that's.
This is what I mean. Don't shout at me. I'm not Pep.
Bernardo should be in midfield with either Gundogan or De Bruyne, and then Rodri or Phillips behind.
So what do you do with Foden?
Foden's playing up front with Alvarez, and you've dropped Grealish.
Mate, so you've dropped. That's what I'm saying. So you drop Grealish.
Yeah, but you play like.
But you know, Pep won't do that.
You play 65 games, so Grealish misses. You know, Foden's going to miss 15, 20 games. Grealish is going to miss 20.
We are right back in. You look at that front three. You have Foden. You have Bernardo. You have Alvarez. You
Bernardo
have
midfield.
Mahrez.
If Bernardo plays up front, we don't win the league.
Okay,
we don't win the Champions League.
Let's look at it as how Pep is playing them at the moment.
But
I agree with you. Bernardo should be in midfield over Gundogan.
I think that's because Pep's making a mistake and he should trust Alvarez a bit more. I think Pep is thinking, right, Mahrez isn't playing well. We need to put someone in there. I can't play Foden and Grealish every game. They need a bit of rest. And so he's putting Bernardo up there, whereas I think that's a mistake. I think he should be going with Alvarez and giving him a chance.
See, everyone agrees with you. And you know what? I probably am starting to come around to that idea. I mean, Blue House put 4 competitions. No one really gets dropped.
Yeah, and that's spot on. That is spot on.
No,
you know,
okay, I agree with you. I agree with you. But Sterling did it. That is a perfectly legitimate argument you and Blue House are both saying, but I throw Sterling right back at you.
What about Sterling?
Played how many games last season?
About 50 or something, I don't know.
And still said he wanted to play more. Do you know this thing of players are rotated and they're happy with it? They are not. We had Spencer Pryor on this channel, and he said himself, players don't want to play in the Carabao Cup 4th round. They're not interested in that. They want to play. If you come to City versus Real Madrid and you're on the bench, you are pissed off.
Yeah, no.
The manager can't say I'm rotating, lads. There's a difference. Going, piss off. Rotate me ass.
There's a difference with Alvarez and Sterling in that Alvarez is going to accept things at 21 that he won't accept at 27. Sterling's at his absolute prime, right? And he's going downhill, arguably, but he's absolute prime. So you've got to accept that Sterling is in a different stage of his life and career than Alvarez is. So I don't think Alvarez is going to get pissed off if he only starts 35 games. I think that's going to be a scene.
30 games is spot on. It depends on what games they're rotated at.
Yeah, that's a big part.
It depends how you rotate and what you rotate on. This is where Pep gets paid the millions and millions. And yeah, like Blue House said, if you're not happy, leave. Sterling and Jesus left. They weren't happy. Jesus played against Real Madrid, Liverpool twice, Real Madrid twice, and still went, see ya, I want to go. You're not, unfortunately, we're in a situation where you are not going to keep everyone happy.
Yeah, and he had other reasons, like he was, he lost his place.
You're still giving me a countdown.
Yeah, he lost his place, in the Brazil side. He was Brazil's number 9, and I think that was a huge thing for Jesus. And when he lost that place, I think, that probably was a part in his thinking. I've got no doubt. But no, I think we'll make some.
Okay, well, let me throw this at you, Rich, before you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot because I'll give you my players because I think Jude Bellingham will come.
Yeah.
For one reason, I think his quality. He can pass the ball. He can move when he wants to do. He's big. He's strong. He reminds me of an English Yaya, if I'm honest with you. That's how he reminds me. He can pass the ball left and right. He's a natural leader at 19. And for me, also, we've got a homegrown. Everyone laughs at me when I mention this. you have a homegrown quota that you have to fill. Carson will probably leave. That's one gone. So, and we're already, I think, 2 short of it. We've only got 6. And you're not going to be able to keep 5 centre-backs up there. So this is my point here. At some point, Walker's getting the wrong side of 33. He's not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
So you're going to need to sign 2 or 3 homegrown at some point in the next 18 months. So I think Jude comes in as a development to become even better than what he is, but also with the homegrown quota there as well.
Yeah.
Look, Rich, who is coming in January? Give me the one player. I'm giving you 10 quid now. Rich, who is it?
Yeah. Who's coming in January? I think we'll make a real push for Jude in January so that we avoid the I think we'll
get me excited, Richard. Get me excited.
Whether we close a deal but he doesn't actually join us till the summer, that's possible. But I think we'll try and get ahead because with all the takeovers and all the rumours about United and Liverpool and other clubs, Real Madrid, I think if that's who Pep wants and that's who he was talking to the Sheikh about, then I think there'll be a big move.
Okay, and before you leave, give me 2 other midfielders you think coming in. Oh no! Tell you what, I will save you that one. Who's leaving in midfield then? Who were the replacements for?
The player I think might go is Gundogan. I think he might be suited by a move to a slower league like Spain or Italy.
What about part of a deal with Jude?
I don't know that that's Dortmund's way of doing business. I don't know that Dortmund necessarily go back for players and they necessarily want someone, 33 or whatever he is now. I have a feeling he might go to someone like Juventus.
Oh no, Juventus are in trouble, Rich.
Yeah,
have you not read that one yet? They're in massive issues.
Yeah, but it will be someone like that. It will be a big club who can pay him decent wages, big name, but I think it will be in Spain or
Keep
Italy.
an eye on Juventus. There might be a fire sale there very, very soon. There might be a massive fire sale about.
They'll get bought out by someone else. That's the thing. I wouldn't. They'll just be they'll be on the shopping list of the Sheikh of Bahrain or something. I doubt there'll be fire sales.
It depends. Rico Lewis does, but he doesn't because he's under 19. He doesn't have to be part of the 25-man squad. The homegrown is 25-man squad.
Yeah.
The EDS don't have to be included in the if you are under 19,
over 21.
Yeah. If you are under 21, thank you, Rich, for confirming that. If you're under 21, you're not part of the homegrown. You can include them, but you're not actually part of them because you don't have to be part of the 25-man squad. In the 25-man squad, there's 8 homegrown, 17 European.
Although often,
have to be. I know he qualifies in the blue, but he doesn't really qualify because you don't have to put him in the list.
And there's
not on the 25.
Homegrown's two things. 4 are supposed to be club trained, and 4 homegrown from the association. So, in a way, I think we're probably already above our quota anyway because we've already got at the moment Grealish, Phillips, Stones, Walker. So at the moment,
but I'm looking at Walker as going in a year or 2.
Yeah, but at the moment, Carson's taking up one of the foreign slots, not.
The thing is with Manchester City, they think long term. City right now will have a plan for KDB's departure. They'll have a plan for Walker. They'll have a plan for Gundogan. They will have planned all of those out. City don't just go, he's out of contract. Anyway, Rich, you're shooting, mate. I'll let you go.
Yeah, so I'll leave you
Take care, mate. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
He's going to chat to the electrician. So, yeah, that's what I mean of City will do everything long-term. It's a long-term thought process. That's one thing we're very, very good at. My Wi-Fi crap tonight. I do apologise. Anyway, let's get into some of your comments. I'm going to go about another 5-10 minutes and then we'll cut. But thank you to Rich. Gunning is right there. He's right at his peak. There is no way we'll let him leave unless he demands it. I don't see that, guys. It's what City will always do. They'll let the player make the decision, probably. They did it with everyone, haven't they? What something City are very good at is they allow players to make that decision. Bernardo, I think Bernardo's probably the most viable to go out the door because of this stupid I want bloody sunshine because my missus isn't happy crap. Bellamy's light years ahead of Rice. Yeah, all day long, twice on Sunday. Bellingham needs to be signed. It's imperative. Done that one from Andy Blue Moon. But like I said, Palmer, Lewis, Esprand, yes, they can go in the homegrown, but they don't have to be named in the 25-man squad at all because of their ages. Oh, excuse me. Bernardo is staying, I reckon. I just think, I don't know, there's just something with it. I don't think he will stay. I don't know why it's a feeling I have. What about Haaland? He was born in Leeds. I don't think we get away with that one, mate. Don't think we get away. You know what? I've always wondered, could we ever? But I don't know if we could. Cancelo has to leave. It's imperative he won't. But we have 25 guys and all the kids are in it. If you look on the actual official list, we don't actually have 25. I think it's 22 or 23. I looked at it earlier. Louis, like Rico Lewis, they will have put them in, but they don't have to be in. The official rule, because I've been looking at this today, the official rule is up to 21 years old. After 20, before 21 and in the academy, they don't have to be included in it. So, for example, if we bought Jude Bellingham, he could go into the homegrown quota and Rico Lewis could step out of it and he wouldn't need to be included in the 25-man squad and you can still play him because he doesn't count in your quota. If that makes sense. My eyes are spinning. Lewis coming after Kyle, then one another, like Sterling. Bernardo's going to stay, just make him split up with his misses. I just looked and counted his 25. Listen, Andy Blooming, I'm not going to argue with you. I know the rule. I've studied it. I've looked at it all day. Do research going into shows. But you told me you weren't coming back on again. So Rico needs to be nurtured. He needs to start cup games this season. I wouldn't. It all depends on Liverpool. When you say cup games, what do you mean? Because Liverpool and Chelsea, I don't know. Because I thought it was a bit dubious against Chelsea. Personally, thought it was not. He was good, but he wasn't great. If there was a better people around him against him, I think he'd have struggled a little bit. The World Cup was great. It's kind of opportunity for Pep. It is. It's shown us a lot of talent out there that he can improve. I'm not arguing. I've said I've looked at it earlier on. In fact, I will get you the rule up right now. Premier League, FA, homegrown rule. I'll get you the actual rule up for you now. So, how many players are non-homegrown? 17 is a limit on non-homegrown players. According to Premier League rules, players can maximum 25 in their senior squad, which means no more than 17 are allowed to come under the homegrown category. And let's have a look at the next part of it. Let's have a look. Here it is, fully explained. So let's get the actual wording up for you. So let's have a look. Where's the ages part? Usually academies are dominated by young UK starters, but our other nationals also play in the academies. And if these lads are set up place for 3 years, in their respective academies before turning 21, they will be considered home to home. The rule proposed that any UK-born player will be automatically considered as homegrown, and any rule to have played for an English club for at least 3 years before turning 21 will be considered as homegrown. Only it counts for players only over the age 21 and over. Under that, you can add as many as you want. So that's where we are at with that one. The only thing I looked at it earlier on, that was why. Chuck Michelle Keane's under demand. We are desperate to keep him. We'll lose to Liverpool anyway. We won't. Come on, have a bit of confidence. Rico is such a different proposition to Walker, and it'd be a big change. I like the idea, but it's a risk. I'd like Walker to last a couple of more years. It depends how long Walker can go for. We'll have to see. Oh, do you know what? You're just getting banned. I'm sick of you, Rob. I'm bored of you, Rob, with your crap. And I know it's you because, and I've even got evidence it's you. I'm bored of your crap. See you later, Rob. Go and stretch out with your 5 people on your bloody podcast. Sick of it. Absolutely sick of it with your fake accounts. Rico is such a sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but I'm sick to death of people making fake accounts. I've had enough of it. And if anyone wants to prove it, I've got all the evidence to prove it's not Andy Blue Moon from Man City Man TV because it's a different profile picture. That's how I know it's not him. But never mind. I'm glad we'll have Gundo. And if anyone said that, I have got evidence of that as well. Glad we'll have Gundo and Kev back for Liverpool. Do you think they'll play? That's the big one. Could get Portuguese player back soon. I don't think we will. And the English boys. Hello, mate. How are you doing? I'm not bad, mate. How are you? Hope you are good. Pepper said he leaves recruitment to the recruitment team. I mean, that's spot on, Blue Art. But, this is why I never get into all this. It's all opinions. When fans talk about players, we're just giving our viewpoint because it's Pep's decision and it's his recruitment team that decide. Pep loves Grealish. He will play him. If he loves Jude, he'll try and get Jude. He might not get him, but he'll try. A lot of fans disagree with the Kane thing, but they went after Kane. Thankfully, we didn't get him. So we'll just see. Remember the CFG recruit from many clubs? They do. And we are trying to buy a Brazilian club as well at the moment. Blue Out, that is correct, but he gives them his wish list. Yes, they do, which I read that in the Athletic. Has anyone subscribed to the Athletic? Let me know in the comments because that was something of it. Anyway, talking about how City do try and get as many Pep targets as they can to help him and to make him happy so he can sign a new contract. I'm a realist. Okay. Pessimist, more like Jack. Gundogan and Bernardo, one of them will leave. I think one of them does. I think it's Bernardo, sadly. I would love the lad to stay. I agree indeed with Pep goes, we need consistency. But if Pep goes, we need consistency. Do you know the best thing if Pep ever does leave is Luis Enrique? Definitely. I think they should play. They'll maybe have 2 weeks off before the game itself. Well, they can go away now, can't they? And have a week holiday and then come back. Yes, we'd have a full week for Leeds. Right. So for me, I mean, personally, like I said, I think Jude Bellingham will eventually come. And I probably would sign in Enzo Fernandez as well. Get them both in. I mean, people have talked about Jude Bellingham being 130 million. I don't think he will. I genuinely believe if you can get Jude Bellingham at roughly about, you pay the money up front, I think you'd probably get, this is just me surmising now, probably get Jude for about 80, 85 million cash up front. If you don't do it over amortization, which is payments in stages, over the 4 years, over the length of the contract, I think you probably get him up for under 100. Then you get Enzo Fernandez for about 80, and you've just rebuilt your whole midfield for 150 or 160 million quid. Pretty damn good going that. You can get them both for 160, and then you've got Phil Foden coming through as well. My word, our midfield is set for 5-10 years. It is set. And then you go and get the guy, look at Robinson at Fulham. He covers the homegrown as well. The US fella who's ripped it up at the World Cup. Yeah. So to me, it's making the right ones. And I think City are very good at that. Let's have a look. Why? What personal stuff? Who's been personal, Andrew? Sorry, mate. I missed some. People get all I don't know why they get all personal. It is what it is. I don't know why people come on trolling. It's weird. I don't get it. I don't get the trolls. If you don't like it, don't watch. Simple. I've got plenty of evidence on people, but I choose not to do stuff like that. It's stupid. It's not what you brilliant people come to, and you come to listen to Manchester City stuff, not drama. I think Pep will access the World Cup returns. If we're good on fitness, I think we'll go strong against Liverpool. I pray we do. I love beating Liverpool blue out. We have to beat them. All players leave. What, leave what? Now? City? World Cup? So Liverpool cheat to win. It's funny how we haven't won them since 1.5 years, and I'm sure. It is what it is. Listen, we weren't good enough, Hassan, to beat Liverpool. Pep messed around too much. It definitely is a godsend. Luis would be he's my choice. When Pep ever leaves, is Luis Enrique. That is the closest you'll ever get to Pep ball is Luis Enrique. It's what you do with KDB then, Sahib. What do you do with KDB? With Phillips, Rodrigue, Jack, it's a bit much getting both. Yeah, I get you. Squad. This is the problem, and this is the problem. It's like I've just said get both. And like Andrew, you spot on, we still got Phillips, Rodrigue, Foden, and Jack. How do you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into 3 positions? I know it's squad rotation, but do you know the funny thing is how do you keep him happy? This is why Pep, I could never do Pep's job. Jesus, I've been pulling what little air out I've got left. Trying to think of how do I keep this guy happy? He's not been played in the Carabao Cup and he's at my door knocking. Piss off. I think with downside, it's got to be got too many time. Remember, we changed a lot in the summer. I think it was more of the midfield. I think this summer blew out. It's a midfield, and that is it. I think we'll probably buy a fullback and 2 midfielders. That's it. Only because of the age of the midfield. No, I am doing, mate. I don't get it. Probably pissed. Anyway, fortunately, trying to talk about tours, good folk here. Listen, without the brilliant people on here, the amazing subscribers at the Mancunian Way, this would not be possible because you are all fantastic. Do I know everything? No. Do I ever claim to know everything? No. I come on here and I talk as a Manchester City fan like you people do. That's all I ever do. Do I get things wrong? Hell rare. Hell yeah, do I get things wrong. Do I make a prat of myself at times? Of course I do. That's why you all laugh. When he scored, the ball bounced about in his arm. He did. But listen, we didn't deserve to win. Alvarez needs time. Will develop under Pep. It's whether he's willing to be patient, isn't it? I meant all players leave, Martin. Replace KDB with Olmo eventually. Jesus Christ. Another name in the bloody frame. Hassan, didn't we score a goal? Brighton scored 3 at Anfield, Manchester City 0. Because of Pep. Pep was the only reason we got nothing at Anfield. Hakimi, but it's not realistic. Geez, another one. It's like just Put your list in. It's not a shopping list. Probably one fullback. Is that a quick midfielder or one midfielder? And we might go for Leo. Oh, I'd love Leo. There's another one. Jesus, I'm getting excited now. It's like supermarket sweep. I would like Ortega to be in goal for Liverpool clash. I also wanted Alvarez to lead attack. The City in midfield, KDP. What's his name? Everyone is just throwing names now. It's like, have him. Top shelf, bottom shelf, middle shelf. It's like, here we go. Oh, thank you, mate. Listen, of course we do. And you know what? We don't all agree, and that's fine. That's what makes it. Imagine if we all sat here agreeing. Yeah, I agree. Good night. Done. Yeah. Bit kind of boring, wasn't it? That's what football's about. Emotion, passion. Pep can be a bell end at times. He can, but they always say there is a fine line between madness and being a genius. Bernardo Mavis might not come back in time for Liverpool. Well, we've got Alvarez now. We've got no Alvarez. Got Haaland. Haaland will be fit. One thing we're sure, City won't blank trophies this season. No, we'll get some. I'd start a table. I wouldn't argue. Edison's done nothing. What's Edison done? Edison is literally gone over there to get splinters on his ass. That's what annoys me. This is my point. He's like, hello, FIFA. Oh, we'll get FIFA. Hey, I've got breaking news on FIFA. Come back to that in a minute, ladies and gents. Pepper just chose when he made that short bid saying he loves it as he did. In your opinion, you think football's coming home? In a very, very, very quick answer, hell no. Why? GS. Get up Southgate. If Allison gets back in time, Edison should. Exactly. That's a good point, because that means bloody Allison won't be playing. It was an absolute rock. It was a beauty of a goal. Mansour will splash the cash. We'll have no defenders, though, no Stones. Akanji might be home. Let's see, yeah. Let's see. Haaland will be chomping at the bit to get stuck in. They're going to play you at fullback, Andrew. They're not told you. Have you not had the call yet, mate? Blue Heart's going left fullback. Andrew's going right fullback. Buddy Duck's going centre back. Super City's going in the middle. I'm going up top. It's going to be a lovely game against Liverpool. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. I have got some news. I am going to look at some point. I'm going to buy a camera from the PS5. I'm going to start FIFA 23 career mode on the channel at some point. That may not be everyone's cup of tea. I understand that. I fully appreciate that, because what I want to do is get a real good variety going on this channel. So there's two things. I'm either going to buy Champ Manager when it comes out on the consoles, or I'm going to buy FIFA, or I'm going to do FIFA career mode. So what I will do at some point, probably early next week, I'm going to get a community post up with a vote of either Champ Manager or whether we do FIFA 23. But Champ Manager will be longer because I don't know when it's out on the console. I'm not going to do it on the PC. It'll be on the console. So I will let the Mancunian Way family vote on that. Anyway, let's say some hellos, goodbyes, and then I will bid you adieu. Great show, mate. Keep up the good work. I do try, mate. Even though I'm crap, I'll try. I'm concerned. Gotta love the sarcasm. I'm concerned about fullbacks. Gomez and Lewis are our options right now. Yeah, they are. I think we're gonna have to see where we're at in a couple of weeks. Yeah. Doesn't do tap-ins. He doesn't. Blue Heart. Spot on. See you later. When will the next time you be live? Keep an eye. If you look at the bottom, Hassan. Okay, at the bottom. Our Twitter handle at Horsey City and our Instagram is where you will find out because it's the World Cup, we will be on less than what we normally are. During the season, we have pre-match, post-match, lives, we have guests, we have a bigger Thursday. The Thursday night show normally goes for 2 and a bit hours. But because of obviously the lack of guests tonight, because it's World Cup, Ozzy's working, Xander's out for the meal, Vader's doing other stuff, we couldn't get, normally we have a 5-6 man panel. So tonight it was me and Rich, so that's why it's a bit shorter. So it'll probably be next week now when we get something on. Please go back and obviously there's some videos. If you are bored during this World Cup, if you're not, go and watch the World Cup. Some brilliant football is happening. But also go back and give the other videos a watch. Also share the channel around. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and we'll keep it going. But yes, so Hassan, that's where you'll find out at Horsey City on Twitter. You'll find out when we are live next. But if you can, smash that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. That'd be amazing. Everyone, if you haven't. Thank you very much, Alec. Have a lovely evening, mate. Yeah, it's just getting it on to bloody PS5. That's the problem. I might do both, you know. Treat yourself and your family. It's nearly Christmas. I need to. Yeah, I'm going away next weekend because I'm old. I'm 40 next weekend. So there won't be any shows next weekend because Friday to Sunday I am away for my 40th. My missus is taking me away for the weekend. No idea yet, but I'm away for the weekend for my 40th. You don't see the grey hair. Just bloody old. Chain Mate, you're doing a great job. I do appreciate that. Rodri apparently made over 200 passes today. Is that right? I've not seen anything today, Andrew. So I don't know, mate. Last time I saw Rodri was when he played centre-back and he was world class. Well done, Mate. Top it out. Thank you. Top effort again. Thank you, mate. Highland scored many goals than most countries in the World Cup. Yeah, did see that. Where are you off to? No idea yet. It's a surprise. I'm 57 Sunday. Happy birthday, Alec. Have a lovely birthday, mate. I struggle to support England too much. Hope if we get there, then disappointment. Man after my own heart, Blue. That's why I love you, mate. 40 soon. I'm turning 20. I have a proper session of beer night in Leeds. Have a lovely, lovely birthday. Thank you all. You are absolutely superb. You are all legends. Thank you. Jack Lee, Blue Art, Alec Johnson, Singing the Blues, Andrew W., Blue Heart, Hassan, Nice Thompson, Mingy Wong joined us earlier on. Super City's been on. Zahab's been on. There was, who else was on earlier on? I'm just going back and looking. Muddy Duck's been on. Who is a legend as well. Who else have we got? Alec Johnson, who's always here, is an absolute legend as well. Addy's been on, another legend. You know, the Mancunian Way community, I love you because Beta Games, all of you, go and give Beta Games TV a lot of love. Go and hit that subscribe button for that legend. Patrick, true City fan, was going to come on tonight, but he was sadly had to go to the hospital. So I do wish him he's okay, but he'll be coming on the channel soon. UCFR resident Liverpool fan, thank you for joining us. As well, you have all been absolute stars and legends, and I can't thank all of you enough. Cafe de Casual was on. It's just, I love it. I love every single one of you. You are amazing. CM City was even on. FIFA has been on. Dale's been on. Dudley Lewis was on earlier. It's just, Patrick was on, even though Patrick's halfway around the world celebrating because Australia have got into the World Cup. Yeah, thank you all so much. Have a great time. We'll see you soon at Horsey City. Hit the likes all, as he says. Happy birthday next week. Thank you. Cheeky boy. Cheeky. Well done, guys. Created a great show. On to the next one. Take care. And yeah, the Mancunian Way, the place to be. But tell everyone, sit here, tell them the true story that we ain't some little tin pot club. We're a club with rich history. We're bloody massive. And if they don't like it, tell them to piss off. Simple. Sit here. We are massive. Take care, all. Good night.